Hello, everybody. I am so sorry. I meant to do one of these last week, and I'm sorry that all these are going to come out in just a clump. I have been having an argument with freaking YouTube for about a week and a half. So, tried to upload all the videos I've been meaning to upload that are coming out before this. Most of them, if they would upload, they would crash and suddenly delete themselves. That was cool. Or they just straight up wouldn't upload. I'm going to try and get more of this out and everything. And I was going to do a review last week of Murder on the Orient Express.
But we never went to see it.
Yeah.
I didn't. I don't know about you.
No, I didn't go to see it either. Because I got into a car wreck.
Again.
Yeah, to be fair, it was totally not my fault. I was sitting still, so... I mean, I'm
almost home, too.
Yeah, I was like 3 blocks from my house, and a drunk driver had hit 2 other cars, and then another car and hit into me, or he might hit 3 other cars, and then another car that hit into me. I don't know. My car's in the shop, so currently I don't have a vehicle to easily be able to get around. I really didn't want to bug Megan about going to see Murder on the Orient Express. Like, hey, we're going to see this very not looking great movie that...
Well, I read the book, so I can tell you how it ends.
Yeah,
so.
Butler did. We all know how it does. But we actually did want to go see Justice League, which, of course, is what we're reviewing.
Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, we wanted to know, is this going to continue the trend that Wonder Woman is beginning to set, which is very good to possibly great DCEU movies, or are we going back to the...
Batman vs. Superman train wreck.
And Suicide Squad mess.
Oh, we do not speak of that. We do not speak of that movie. That movie does not exist.
And I think our opinions are slightly differing.
It wasn't great.
I actually, more I'm thinking about it right now, I actually rather hate it.
It's like the more pissed off you get.
Yeah. Fuck me. Where to start with this? I will tell them this much. The movie looks so much better because they finally realized, oh yeah, the Zack Snyder fucking color changing...
Yeah, bluish. Yeah. Everything's so dark and depressing.
Where everything has that tint to it, it's gone. Instead, you actually get to see the better visual effects. So some of the CGI is still a little hit or miss here and there. But still, you get to see the better, shots they do and all that, without it having this weird tint of gray blueness that makes everything feel dreary.
Yeah.
It was one of the things that was, like, Watchmen decided to cut out that whole, like, Zack Snyder bullshit that he's been doing for the last 3 movies now. And it looked better. That's one good thing I can say about Watchmen. It's like one of the only good things I can say about Watchmen is it looked really good. Here, like I said...
Not unnecessary slow motion, but...
Yeah. Movie's like nearly 3 hours long, and if you cut out slow motion, it's about probably an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh, they're probably about 45 minutes. Yeah. What I was going to say.
Oh, it's not quite Resident Evil 4 or 5, whichever one. It's like, suddenly Paul W.S. Anderson really fell in love with fucking slow motion, and the movie is about 40 minutes long. The rest of it's all slow motion. It's like...
Yeah, slow motion can be used to good effect, but don't overuse it, directors. Y'all are like having some obsession with this. It's like, use it sparingly, like with everything else, everything in moderation.
Yeah. Here, I will say there are certain bits where slow motion is done well, and bits where you can see it's done poorly. Like
in this movie or in general? In
this movie. There are times, like, for instance, we've all known the Quicksilver bits from the last 2 X-Men movies. Never mind the fact, I haven't really cared for either one of them. I will say at least they're very inventive. They look really good, even if they're really stupid for the most part. Especially the last one in X-Men Apocalypse. Here, you get one really brilliant fight between Wonder Woman and these terrorists. Never mind, they're just random fucking terrorists. Whatever. It might as well be Cobra for all we care.
Trying to end the world and bring everything back to the Dark Ages for reasons.
Yeah, they want to kill these people and that will do something. I don't fucking know.
They pop up like that much.
Yeah. But I will say, the fight scene looks good. Because they purposely show Wonder Woman's speed and her strength at the same time. that causes into a problem I will bring up later. But yeah, that fight's actually really good. It's one of the earlier parts you've seen from trailers. But like at the same time, like this guy pulls out an assault rifle, he's trying to shoot these people, and one of them was blocking them all with her fan bracelets. It's actually a really good looking scene. Sure, is it, really needed technically? No, but I don't mind some cool scenes every now and then.
Yeah, basically just to remind us, hey, Wonder Woman's in this.
Yeah, she's a badass, and Flash should have been given more of the slow motion. They do that, and there's some good bits, and there's a lot of really forgettable bits. I get this is a young Flash. I get that he's, not fully trained, but holy shit, half this movie all he's doing is
Kind
tripping.
of naive and eager and...
The naivety and the eagerness didn't bother me. Really, the constant, he's fumbling around and falling down.
For someone who's, so fast.
Yeah, it's it started to bug me. Constantly that was the way they would slow him down, because in all reality, how even Flash has explained his powers, he's able to vibrate his fist so fast that he can hit with the force of a locomotive coming at you without even really trying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of where obviously the writers have not read a single Flash comic or anything, so they don't understand Flash's power set. They briefly hint upon the Speed Force for all of a second, but they say it's, just because he burns a bunch of calories. Wait, there's a lot more to it than simply that, guys. It's in fact an entire, if I'm not mistaken, dimension and everything.
Yeah, they expand upon it in the show, the Flash show.
Yeah, and also in the comics, because there's the 5 dimensions that we believe. The 5th one being time travel. Speed Force is 6 dimensions or something like that. Pretty much, it's something like that. I'm not the most knowledgeable, but I do know what the Speed Force is, y'all. But I know it allows Flash to be able to be super strong when he needs to, tap into.
Yeah, it's more than just
he's
a high metabolism.
Yeah, and more than just him being fast.
Yeah, it's like I said, they expand upon it more in the show.
Yeah, maybe they're gonna go more into it with the Flash movie. Which, that's in developmental hell. That's cool. But...
Why bother introducing these characters in this, team-up movie if you're just going to give them their own individual movies afterwards? That, first of all, defeats the purpose. And second of all, why not do the individual movies first, like Marvel did? It worked for them, obviously, so...
Yeah, because in the Marvel movies, it really set forth a precedence that these were the only heroes currently available, such as Black Widow, Hawkeye, Captain America, Hulk, Iron Man, Thor. It really set forth that those were the major heroes that were only really around. That's the reason why it made sense that they were the ones to combat this giant Skrull slash Chitauri, however they pronounce it?
Chitauri.
Yeah, Chitauri invasion. Alright, well that's cool. That's a perfect lead up to the Avengers. There's a bunch of movies that kind of hinting about different things, especially in the Thor movies.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I think is that maybe they're trying to copy the success of Spider-Man Homecoming, where he was introduced in one of the sort of team-up movies, it was more a Captain America movie, before, giving him his own spin-off.
But even then, it doesn't work.
I would say they work because, they had...
They had good characters that Spider-Man was working alongside who have already been introduced.
Yeah, already been established. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And also, Spider-Man Homecoming wasn't really an origin story like it's seeming they're wanting to do with the other characters, the DC characters.
Yeah. They're talking about this Aquaman movie that they're making such a big fucking deal about. It's going to be so great because blah, 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 blah. First off, I'm going to tell you all this much. Jason Momoa is still a terrible actor. He was bad in Conan. He was bad in Conan the Barbarian, but there's a reason why they had him not speaking English in Game of Thrones. Because he fucking doesn't know how to get the right inflections or stuff. There's one good scene he has in a whole movie, and it's thankfully a good comedy scene. I'm pretty sure Joss Whedon directed. because it's very Whedon-esque in a lot of ways.
And which one's that?
That's whenever, at like one point, they're getting ready to go fight all the parademons, and blah blah blah, whatever. It's a eventually we're going to spoil the shit out of this movie.
Okay, spoilers ahoy!
Yeah, we're just going to let y'all know we're going to spoil the shit out of this. This movie kind of sucks, in my opinion. Megan thinks, I guess, probably like, oh. It's a movie to watch in Megan's eyes if you're just bored and you want some background music.
It wasn't as good as Wonder Woman. Nowhere near as good as that. But it was nowhere near the train wreck as Batman and Superman.
Well, let's just put it this way. Is it better than the worst Marvel movie?
What would you consider the worst Marvel movie?
Iron Man 3. No?
Yeah, no.
That's pretty bad. Because
Yeah.
so Iron Man 3 at least has a good first two-thirds or so. And
I'm trying hard to judge it
on its own merits.
On a DC standard.
That's hard because it's shit and, you know, a good meal. It's like, well, fuck, it's still, you know, rancid McDonald's.
And on top of that, it really... DC obviously tries way too hard to copy Marvel without being successful at it. It's like, if you're going to cheat off of someone else's test, at least make sure you got the answers right, or got the right answers for the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
So they got B for... No, that's B for a different question that you're on. It's like... That's pretty much what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, to sum up the story, because honestly, this is actually a very simplistic story, which is bad. Because we already figured out a better way to rewrite the ending of Batman v Superman. Instead of it making Doomsday, instead actually have Steppenwolf appear then, or, you know, maybe like some parademons, because we kept hinting at Lex Luthor, you know, dealing with stuff with, you know, the mother boxes and all this other shit, dealing with Darkseid.
Yeah, it was hinted at in Batman vs Superman, although I think really only the most diehard comic book fans would have gotten that.
Yeah, but the Ultimate Edition kind of hints at it more, which still maybe technically non-canon then, but I don't fucking know.
Yeah, it's like, you know, even I am like somewhat familiar with Darkseid thanks to Smallville, but even...
It's not a good side. Smallville fucked Darkseid's character, Superman's character, Lois Lane's character, all of DC's characters.
I'm talking now. Shush. But, yeah, even I was kind of like, huh? When it came to Batman vs Superman, the, you know, hints of, you know, Darkseid coming. And even then, he's like only mentioned once in this movie, doesn't bother to show up, instead it's like Steppenwolf. He's a big bad.
Steppenwolf is such a forgettable villain. He's a bad guy. And like, people want to really shit on Marvel. Oh, they have such terrible villains. Steppenwolf has no fucking arc. He has no motivations. He's just bad for the sake of being bad.
He just wants to end the world and make everyone love him or something. It's like, what?
Supposedly, like, there's a side thing that it talks about at one point, like, oh, well, I want to be accepted back as the New Gods. But it's a throwaway line is what it feels like, because it's mentioned and never comes up again.
I'm somewhat familiar with, like, the New Gods. Somewhat. I know it's like Darkseid and Orion.
It's hard to explain. Darkseid is obviously on Apocalypse, and New Gods are on Genesis. And Darkseid is constantly at war with New Genesis, the New Gods, and all that. What's it called? I think it's just called Genesis. I don't know. Keep calling it New Genesis. I'm stupid. But to eventually get to a peace between them, because they were just slaughtering each other left and right.
Yeah, they swapped sons, so that Orion was raised on Genesis, and whose son was raised... Was it Allfather, or...?
Yeah, I think it was Allfather or something like that.
It's like, totally not trying to copy Odin.
To be fair, Jack Kirby wrote this back in the 60s before Thor was really a thing.
I would say the Odin Allfather, like, Marvel thing. Partially Norse mythology, mostly Marvel, that's what I'm saying.
But again, Jack Kirby kind of wrote them both. So technically he made his own and everything.
Copied on himself.
Yeah, in a way. But... like I said, that's barely brought up, but because of that, Steppenwolf's a forgettable ass villain. He's not really menacing. He's just... It's the same problem with a lot of GT villains from Dragon Ball. Sorry, I'm going to get a little anime-ish. And also a lot of villains from, you know, most animes, whenever they're the poor man's villains, they're just evil for the sake of evil, and they're just strong, but there's no real, like... There doesn't seem to be a real measure of their strength. They're just strong, or they're just powerful. But you don't get that, really, because... Get a spoiler, Superman comes back. Ta-da! We knew this from everything else.
Not in the way that you would think if you're a comic book fan.
Which, I will give him some credit. At least it's something unique. And I don't mind it too much, though it still raises a stupid fucking retardedness from everything. Because how they bring him back is through the power of a mother box. I'm like, okay, that actually could possibly lead to something later on down the road. I don't think it's going to because of the swerve now DCEU's trying to take.
Yeah.
But, you know, it could lead to a possible, you know, maybe he's infected by some of, you know, Darkseid's energies and all this and that, and maybe Darkseid tries to control him.
Yeah. That... Okay, I can go ahead and say... I hated, like, the dark turn they used for Superman in Man of Steel. It's like, that is not Superman. He is not, like, dark and brooding like Batman. It's like, you want dark and brooding, go see Batman. It's like,
But if they use that to kind of make where Darkseid is able to kind of start influencing Superman...
What I was just going to say is, like, that little dark turn for Superman, that I could accept.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying, if they try to do it that way, because that does make more sense to Superman. I'm just a willful murderer.
Of course, it would have been better if they'd had him, like, this kind of bright and sunny, optimistic, I believe in humanity, even though I've seen the best and the worst of humanity. You know, and then him, like, you know, facing his own darkness. That would have been one thing. That would have been kind of cool. Notice how they try and be more realistic and gritty. He's like, fuck you, Zack Snyder. Just fuck you at the fucking ass, you motherfucker.
Megan loved Man of Steel, as you can tell. It was one of her favorite films.
To me, this is not the Man of Steel symbol. This is a Superman symbol. Just bastardized it. Bastardized it.
Well...
Talking words.
But yeah, when Superman gets back, I will say this much. Henry Cavill and Amy Adams actually have a really tender moment together. Even though they have not really had any chemistry, here, because of how it's shot and how they actually kind of speaking to each other, it's sweet. It's actually kind of sweet. I'm like, oh, I actually kind of, you know, feel for these characters. I'm kind of happy that he's back to be there with her. Now, why I say that there is some dumbness going on is because they bring him back with the mother box through, you know, the fucking ship that's still sitting in the middle of Metropolis. It's like, we don't move that? It's like, oh, you think
like,
somebody...
dismantle it and take it to a military base somewhere to study it or something?
Just fucking sitting in the middle of...
I mean, hell, they were able to do that in Transformers. Why can't they do it this?
I don't know. It's a weird plot hole. That's like, why is that shit still there? Did we not learn from Lex Luthor, or did this just happen the day after that happened? Because it's like, what? But they use the mother box, and first, you know, Superman, he for some reason is angry and all this and confused. And then there's a weird little small, I will admit it's a minor gripe for me, that suddenly Wonder Woman does his Kryptonian name. It's like, well, why should she know that? But that's neither here nor there. Never mind the fact nobody's ever fucking said it around her. And hell, it's not like her and Superman had a moment to be able to talk together or something.
Unless in the extended edition of Batman vs. Superman.
Even then, that actually makes...
Fuck that movie.
Even then, that makes more problems. Like, okay, well, then what's canon?
Yeah. It's like, you have to watch the extended edition to understand the sequel. No, you've not done your job right. Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, that happens. They bring him back. He kind of... But eventually, like, Lois gets him to calm down. And then just suddenly, like, nobody thinks the mother box is just kind of sitting there. Steppenwolf just kind of appears, grabs it. It's like...
Yeah.
Fucking dumbasses.
It's like, oh, well, no, it has all three. It's like...
Just nobody in their right mind think, maybe we should make sure we have a hold on this thing still.
Yeah, maybe someone watching this thing while trying to calm Superman the fuck down.
Anything? No.
Yeah. At the very least, you could send Aquaman. Like, he's not doing anything.
Yeah, he's just standing there.
I was like, there's no real like water that he can do anything with. So it's like, just fucking go guard that thing. Just make sure Steppenwolf doesn't try and take it while we're distracted with this bullshit.
But yeah, Superman flies off with Lois shortly after that, and they actually have a decent, tender moment. It's sweet.
But at the same time, it felt kind of unnecessary. It's like...
Yeah, because Superman knows what's going on, because it kind of... He should be able to see or anything, but then he just magically knows all this other stuff whenever they just appear. And by the end of it all, I'm sorry, we're going to kind of jump around talking about the plot, because we're going to be picking apart different chunks.
Yeah.
Because it feels like this movie was written in chunks, but none of it was glued together.
Yeah.
But
for me, like, a lot of stuff is, like, missing, and it just feels just
it feels fragmented really bad.
Yeah. It didn't flow very smoothly.
Yeah, the first, 30 minutes of this movie, it's really, okay, can we sit still for 5 seconds?
Well, it's like in the trailer, they show Wonder Woman kicking ass, and then the next scene is, so what'd you do this weekend? Oh, nothing interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes forever to get from Wonder Woman kicking ass to that moment. And it's like, okay, if y'all were trying to land some kind of comedic
punch.
Yeah, it's like, you totally missed the mark. You should have done it, right afterwards.
Yeah, whoever edits these things cannot edit worth a shit.
Yeah, it's like, okay, whoever edited the trailer did a better job, apparently.
Yeah, we eventually get Superman. It turns out he's, uber powerful, and he's able to defeat Steppenwolf with little to no problems. Which, that raises so many fucking issues. Okay, Wonder Woman actually was able to hold her own against Doomsday. Superman barely could fight against Doomsday. So that means Wonder Woman's on the same power set, or same power level in terms of strength as Superman. Yet she's not able to even, oh no, I'm a weak woman.
Yeah, not without his help, without him using his freeze breath, which we actually see.
And super, speed and strength. And then also, Aquaman's supposed to be on a similar power, strength level as Superman, or at least close.
Yeah.
But he's able to barely do dick. It takes until the God of Gods shows up, and Superman is Jesus, and he saves them all.
Cyborg, trying to separate the three cubes, the three mother boxes.
Yeah, and new Superman here.
It's like he's not able to do it. First of all, because Steppenwolf keeps, interrupting him, kicking his ass. And second of all, it takes Superman coming in, it's like,
yeah,
and suddenly they're able to do it. It's like, the fuck?
It feels like pretty much that they got rid of Superman in the first, or technically second movie, just so that way we can bring him back so he can be the Superman card. He's the way we can solve the plot. Even though it's like...
Pretty much the ace in the hole.
Yeah. And then that also brings up so many issues, because they do lightly introduce Mara, though I will say it's like, she's just there so that way Steppenwolf can get a thing.
It's like, oh, you dare speak of, Queen Land that way. It's like...
And she's just kind of there.
However much you want to criticize Jason Momoa, Amber Heard just...
Yeah, she can't act either.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, like I said, Jason Momoa throughout this entire movie, you don't believe a single shred of anything he says just because it's never delivered with any true conviction.
I will say he does make Aquaman look badass. I will say that much.
He does, but he also makes Aquaman seem like a friggin' frat boy. And that's a problem. I know Jason Momoa is younger. I want to say he's 30-something. He's not an old guy, but he
when you say younger, I'm thinking 20s. It's
no, he was when Game of Thrones, I think, first was filmed. I mean, you think about that now, it's nearly 7 years, or I think it's over 7 years ago. I think oh.
I should look it up on your phone.
But yeah, Oh, one thing. Let me do this. Turn it off. Just want to turn off the volume.
Okay.
That way, I forgot to do that. But yeah, she's not really good. But whenever Mara's introduced, Mara, it's shown that she's rather strong, and also she has magic. She's able to actually kind of delay Steppenwolf, all this other bullshit. That begins to raise up so many questions, especially when you think about the fact that Batman's been around for at least 20 years.
He's 38.
38. See,
Jason
he's a younger dude. Not an old guy. But he still can't act. I mean, he may be hunky, but he cannot act to save his life. Probably put it all the way there if you need it again, possibly.
Well, that's where you had it.
I just put it there to get out of my hand at the time. But, yeah. Why not bring her nearer to the fight? Or Mara. Her name's pronounced 7,000 different ways, I swear.
I have only ever heard her pronounce Mira.
I've heard it pronounced Mara, I want to say, in the Justice League cartoon. I don't care. Why didn't they bring her to the fight? She obviously can fight. Why not? Why doesn't Batman call any of his sidekicks? Or any of the other people who fought alongside him? Because obviously at least one Robin has fought alongside him. Maybe more. So there's got to be probably a Nightwing somewhere in there.
I guess I didn't want to, crowd the film with, too many characters.
Because we were spending so much fucking time having to introduce Flash, Cyborg,
and yet you couldn't
Aquaman.
introduce actual Green Lantern. So he has this little cameo thing.
I mean, you could have had so much... Or, hell, why did Suicide Squad not get called in?
Like I said, that does not exist. We do not speak of it.
I mean, I didn't like the Suicide Squad movie. I thought that there was also a lot of, power difference here. It's like, hey, we gotta fight this, super powered being who can destroy the entire Earth. Alright, what we bring? Bring a guy who can shoot, a crazy lady, a crocodile guy, a guy who can shoot fire out of his hands, and a dude with boomerangs.
Yeah.
Wait. We feel like we're a little underpowered here. But
and I barely remember Captain Boomerang barely, using any of his...
He used it, once, I think.
Yeah, I barely remember him doing anything in that movie.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, anybody, they could have brought together a decent group. Besides Cyborg, Flash, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman.
Yeah, one mid-credit scene... At the very least, that one mid-credit scene that... It was cute, Superman and Flash racing. Mm-hmm. Spoilers. But, what they could have done instead was introduce Green Lantern.
Or they could have introduced the League. Hell, you know what would have been really cool? And they could have done this, and it would have been an awesome thing. It would have been with all the comic book fans I got it already. If throughout Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, there was this detective. This one black guy who, seemed to have a little intuition about all these superheroes. Who was kind of researching all these things. Yeah. And eventually, near the mid-credit sequence, maybe he shows, Flash and Superman go racing off. And maybe he comes up and he says, I wish to talk with you. Because he's talking with Bruce Wayne and Wonder Woman. Because near the end, Bruce is trying to decide to create a Justice League at his old mansion. Oh, what's kind of...
An Injustice League.
What?
An Injustice League.
No, Batman.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember his
mansion. I was talking about Lex.
No.
Yeah, that's the end credit sequence. Him trying to put together...
With Deathstroke.
A league of our own.
I will give him this much. They tried to go with a very comic book style Deathstroke outfit, but wow, does it look fake. It's
I didn't think it looked that bad.
It looked like plastic armor.
Rushing barely tells Joe Mango
Magnolia.
Whatever the hell the damn name is. Sofia Vergara's husband.
Yeah, but it would have been nice if, let's say, during this guy who's constantly been popping up, he seems to be, it's okay, maybe he's a important thing. He introduces himself and he shakes Batman's hand. He's I just wanted to introduce myself to y'all. It's oh, who are you? I'm John Jones. And then he morphs into the Martian Manhunter. That would be a thing for comic book fans, but also it would be an introduction for a new character.
Yeah.
Or maybe he came up during the Steppenwolf battle and helped them out. That would be neat to have Martian Manhunter there. Or if he had the Green Lantern.
That would have been cool, like, during the fight, maybe kind of like throwing a punch, or maybe like doing something. Them just kind of like looking at him like, okay.
Yeah, like he just kind of appears and maybe he like morphs finally into the Manhunter, and that would be like, eee! That would have been a squee moment right there. Or if they had it, he said, don't worry, I've brought backup or something, and maybe we've kind of introduced that he also has this one drinking buddy that he goes off with, whose name is Jon Stewart. Look, DC, I rewrote your movie and I made it better. I had squee moments at that. Hell, that's the one thing, like, people are like, well, DC is trying to be realistic. Like, no, they're fucking not. When you have an interdimensional, pretty much almost interdimensional being popping up out of a hole that it doesn't even at least have the common decency to call them boom
aliens,
tubes.
and Atlantean, and
parademons, Amazonians.
I would say, and a somewhat Greek goddess, like,
Yeah.
brought to life from clay. It's like, yeah, y'all are not going for realism.
Yeah, but what the thing that the Marvel movies understand is that they need to give the fans, they need to give them that moment or that happy joy moment. Like, where'd you get
joy feeling?
Yeah, that joy feeling. What, like, let's say with Civil War, where did it have that whenever you actually got to see Spider-Man and all them battling it out? That was actually a really moment throughout the... because their banter together was awesome, and it's very comic book-esque, but it's not alienating to a moviegoer.
Yeah, I think DC... Sorry to interrupt you, babe.
Go ahead. I was just on a roll.
Yeah, DC just... A lot of their stuff, it kind of goes over your head unless you are a comic book fan.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you shouldn't have to be a fan of the comic books in order to be able to watch these movies without going,
I don't know what's going on.
Or it's like, who the fuck's this person? Why the fuck should I care? What the hell's going on? It's like, who is this?
Yeah. Like, at one point, they have to actually go through an exposition dump to explain when Steppenwolf first came to his world, because at first I was about to start raising questions, because when he just randomly appears out of fucking thin air, though of course it is a boom tube, but still, that entails that he's supposed to be on or came from Apocalypse or anything. Not getting in that hole. Because he says like he's going to be accepted back with the new gods, and it's like, well, okay, but he came from... I'm not going to touch it. I got to touch it because it's not going to make any sense when I try to dig into it. Yeah. But immediately, what's her name? Hippolyta, she knows that he's Steppenwolf. So, okay, well, how the fuck she know this? How does she know this? And it turns out, there's massive exposition dump. He's come to Earth before.
Yeah, and the Amazonians, Atlanteans,
humans,
mankind,
the gods at the time, and also...
a Green Lantern, at least one.
Yeah.
They all fought him all at once.
Yeah. That's the reason why they could have had a Green Lantern in here.
Yeah, it's like, you set it up. I mean, it's like, I know. Trying to get that bad taste of the Green Lantern movie out of our mouths. Sorry, Ryan Reynolds. That movie sucked. He did an alright job in it, acting-wise, but...
But really, just anything there would have been good. You know, just throw in a Green Lantern. You've already set it up.
Yes.
Go the whole mile. It feels less like a cock tease and literally like a cock thump. It's like, oh, were you wanting that?
Yeah, it's like you set it up and it felt a little bit like they were going to pay it off, at least at the very end, like a mid-credit scene or end-credit scene or something, but no, just goes nowhere, just...
Yeah, you could have just went ahead and went with the Jon Stewart.
Yeah, just leave us with comic book blue balls. Mm-hmm. Essentially.
They could have went with a Jon Stewart Green Lantern, and that would have instantly washed the taste out of them. Especially if DC or Warner Bros. Was willing to spend a little bit of money, get Idris Elba behind it. I'm pretty sure he'd be more than happy to do it.
Yes, yes, yes.
She likes that idea.
Yeah, you'd be good. You'd be fantastic at it.
Or hell, even though I think sometimes his acting can be really good to really hammy, Shamar Moore I think could do a really good Jon Stewart, even though he's almost a little too pompous for Jon Stewart, because Jon Stewart's a little bit more of a three-dimensional character.
Yeah.
But still, if you want to go cheap, Warner there, Shamar Moore, he probably didn't have much going on at the time. Even though he had SWAT show, I'm pretty sure back. Are you kidding? I can get like $20 million a year without having to worry about it. Woo!
Yeah, if Shamar Moore, if you're watching this, I love you. You're one of my future ex-hubbies, but I can't get into SWAT. Watch the first couple episodes. I'm sorry, it's just not my thing. Sorry.
Yeah, Idris Elba, Shamar Moore, hell, the guy from Resident Evil is. I loved him. His name was Luther in the. Thanks. Boris, I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce his last name. It's German, actually. He is actually real German, because I want to say it was on either Wendy Williams or one of those other shows. Like, I happened to have had that on in the background, and I saw it was on, and I was like, oh, cool. I turned it up. Holy shit, that some bitch is German. That's his accent is very Deutsch. Yeah.
Meanwhile, we keep ranting, like just going on and on about the plot. Let's just get to a review, actually.
This movie is just... The plot stops and starts so many times, and it feels like a stalled out car constantly.
Yeah, the pacing and the tone is just very uneven. You have moments where it's like kind of dark and brooding, like, the movies that came before it, and yet at the same time it's like trying to achieve this very lighter, slightly more comedic feel to it, especially by adding Barry Allen.
Yeah, Ezra Miller does actually pretty good. He's more Wally West than he is Barry Allen. But I don't mind that, because Barry Allen's a terrible Flash. Let's just admit that. Barry Allen should never be the Flash you go with. Wally West should always be the only Flash you ever think of. Just admit it. It's like the Flash show should kill Barry Allen and erase him from history.
But anyway. And then there are times where it just like really grinds to a halt for these unnecessary talking scenes. Like there's one scene at the beginning between Martha Kent, that is, Martha and Lois just talking, and
it adds nothing to the plot. It doesn't add anything at all.
I mean, it's like, yeah, pretty much just to remind us, like, yeah, Lois Lane's in this.
Yeah, and so is Martha. She has, we're making sure,
Yeah, she's losing the farm. It's like could just,
okay, thanks.
Like, let us know this later on when Superman's resurrected and they go to the farm.
Hell, they even mention about it a little bit. It's like,
yeah, they even show like a for sale sign or for clothes or something like that sign in front of the farm.
Yeah, there's.
It's like that scene at the beginning was not necessary, and I was like bored to tears. I was just I kept zonking out. Just before I walk out.
Well, like most of the stuff leading up to Aquaman, it really doesn't add anything to the movie.
Yeah, it doesn't really tell us who he is as a character.
Yeah, he's.
And the fact he's Atlantean and
he's a bit of an asshole. That's about as much I can tell you.
Yeah, and he provides for this one village that lives by the sea. Provides for them in the winter with all this fish.
Lives in a pineapple under the sea. Well, hell, like, even the Flash, like, there's some character development, but it feels so, well, we have to talk about this because we have to. It's more just because they have no fucking choice, but they have to talk about it. And then we get to fucking Victor Stone. Holy shit, this guy cannot act. I would just put it that way. Jason Momoa and him, like, anytime they're, like, talk for all 5 seconds, it feels like two robots talking to each other. And I don't know if they were trying to go for he's getting robotic, but that's never how Cyborg was. He was still, very flesh, very, real. So, I go through this whole shit of making him very robotic. Either the guy just straight up cannot act. So, any scenes revolving around him and talking about how he came about, they feel unnecessary.
Yeah.
They don't add anything to the story. Instead, they feel like they're just drag this plot down more, and this plot is so slow building whenever it's such a simplistic plot. Bad guy needs things, gets things, does things. And to be fair, let's just put it this way, he's almost defeated the same way Loki was in the first Justice League. Finally, they kind of team up together all to face against him after just stopping his evil thing, and then they beat the shit out of him. That's the gist of it there. That's the same way they fucking beat Loki.
I would say there's some fight scenes at the beginning that were actually kind of cool, like Wonder Woman beating out those terrorists, or Aquaman and Mera, fending off
Steppenwolf.
Yeah. And, I thought that was actually kind of cool. But the more the movie dragged on, the more some of the fight scenes just got so...
boring is the best way to put it.
Yeah, a lot of them, especially towards the end, just went on too long. It's like, can we just fucking end this? I'm ready to zonk out. I'm ready to fall asleep right here. Just nap.
The biggest problem is that, unlike with Avengers, where all the fight scenes tend to happen with different bad guys, different villains, and all that, such as you have the mind control people that first tried to go after Stark and Steve and all them at that one point. I know I just called the better last name and then their guy's first name. But you got that, then near the end, then you have the massive alien invasion. That I think really worked because they kind of played against each other. One is one guy's, plan happening. Another one is, just straight up hell coming to Earth. This one is just parademons, 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 parademons. Except for the terrorists, it's just them constantly fighting parademons. It's such a forgettable plot, and by then it's so... The fighting just... It feels so samey. They have this one time where they are trying to save these scientists, and it doesn't add anything, it feels like, except for Arthur Curry finally decides to come around to help them.
Yeah, and just to have a Star Labs reference for all the...
They worked at Star Labs, that was the whole thing. Victor Stone's dad.
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah, he was a chief science officer at Star Labs.
Oh.
But...
Well, still, I think kind of just an excuse to make the comic book families go, yee, Star Labs, yee.
No, because I think everybody knew Star Labs was going to be in this. I mean, to have any kind of DC universe without having Star Labs and just having some other generic new thing they created, it would seem pointless. But still, it didn't add anything to the story, it felt like. That whole fight sequence, it's sad that I could say you could remove that action sequence and it wouldn't have subtracted anything. It wasn't badass, it wasn't particularly, well choreographed. It just kind of was the thing that happened. It wasn't terrible, but it was forgettable, though.
Yeah, there's some moments during it that were, kind of funny, but it's like I said, just went on a little too long. It's like, can we get to the point, either beat the everyone shit out of him, send him back to where the hell he came from, or, just let the fight end, let the bad guy get away so he continue to unfold his evil plan.
Yeah.
Which we know is going to happen, so get on with it.
Because literally, it's the same plot as Avengers. But it's not done as well. It's just the crux of it all. It's very poorly done. And
Steppenwolf just does not have anywhere near the charisma of Loki.
Yeah. And at least Loki, you could tell that there was something behind it. And there's a smidge of a mention of Darkseid, but it doesn't have any weight.
Yeah, we have, Steppenwolf, Darkseid light. It's all built up for Darkseid, but for whatever reason, I feel like I'm watching a TV show that doesn't have the budget for Darkseid, and it's okay, well, let's send in Steppenwolf instead.
And Steppenwolf's a completely fucking forgettable villain. That's again.
Yeah, he's is like, I think you're really not familiar with him if you're a comic book fan.
And even then, like, I would say the same thing for people who are familiar with Loki, but at least we got an introduction to him with Thor.
Yeah.
You know, and they really went through of giving the first Thor movie was a Loki and a Thor origin story.
Yeah.
Because Loki was our main villain.
At least Loki, you can kind of sympathize with him at some points, and you know, he had this charm and this charisma of like, okay, you're a villain, but I like you.
Well, even Ultron, for as much as people really shit on Avengers 2, I actually really like Avengers 2.
James Spader, yeah.
Yeah, James Spader really kills it, which is
It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
Yeah, that's like, and kind of creepy seeing I've got no strings on me.
Mm-hmm. Like, but you can at least relate to him in some ways because you understand, it's like, he's not just doing this just because he's evil. He's doing it because he sees it as the only right thing. He's pretty much pulling... He's the epitome of Stark if he kept going towards the military way of thinking. He pushes it to the extreme as far as it can go. Because of that, you can understand him. You can actually... You get it. Hell, even fucking Red Skull you kind of understand. And Red Skull at least was phenomenally well done because fucking Hugo Weaving. Hugo Weaving's always awesome in everything he does.
Including Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
I haven't seen the movie forever, so I can't speak one way or the other.
I got it on Blu-ray.
I don't give a shit. But like, he's actually good, even though he's just pretty much a power Nazi. Mm-hmm. Hell, even probably the worst actual villain I could say out of the entire Marvel canon, Killian from frickin' Iron Man 3. I am the man. Fuck you, ain't the Mandarin, asshole.
True.
Like, his justification you can at least somewhat understand.
Yeah.
But at least...
Even though it's pretty much just The Incredibles.
Yeah. In all essence, that's all it is.
Yeah.
But at least it's something. Here, it's a wholesale ripoff. And that's bad. I know DC can do better.
Yeah, I was really... Yeah. When I was saying, like, in Avengers Age of Ultron... Mm-hmm. I was saying, like, there is a scene... Not sure they get all kind of, like, you know, kind of back to back.
They're all in the circles.
Yeah, but... I think there's scenes, like, where they all come at the bad guy all at the same time. Or something. Or was it in the first Avengers?
I can't remember where that was.
Well, I know I did something like that on Smallville going after Killer Frost. Which I showed you. But I was kind of hoping that with Superman freezing Steppenwolf's axe or whatever, and then Wonder Woman charging at him, it's like, I was really hoping like they would all like charge at him like all at once, like all using their powers on him, or all just like charging, and that I was actually kind of expecting that it would have been kind of badass looking. But it's like,
so it's just them punching him in all essence.
And just breaking his axe. It's like breaking his big manly stick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's Justice League in a nutshell. It's
I guess we better shut up and hurry up and end this review and give a rating.
Yeah, because like we can't even talk much about the plot because there's not much of one there. And on top of everything, what is there is just, it's so shallow. That's the biggest problem. At least with Avengers, there is a plot. It's not the deepest of all the plots, but it's something. There's characters, there's all this.
I would say there's characters. Sorry again to interrupt.
Well, you just repeat what I said in essence.
What I'm saying is like there are characters that are already well established. You know, you have these relationships and these dynamics that are like kind of delved into in a way that they're like relatable, and it's like you actually feel the dynamic of this group and the dynamic of the individuals themselves. With this, you don't really get that. It's like, oh, let's all come together and defeat this big bad.
And at least with Avengers, there's also still character development, such as between Black Widow, Hawkeye, hell, Captain America and Iron Man both go through, forward momentum in the first movie. And so does Hulk. Probably the only one who suffers technically is Thor. But to be fair, you don't really need to have much in the way of character development with Thor.
Yeah.
That's a whole other issue.
Yeah.
Here, like, the most we have is technically a character step back because Batman does some things that are so wildly stupid and so insufferably incompetent seeming, or just like leaps of logic that don't make sense for a character who's supposedly, so meticulous, so, thinks out every little thing. Like, he just instantly says, "Oh, we should use it to resurrect Superman." Like, they just come to this fucking... or he comes to that conclusion, and they're like, "Well, we can't be sure it's going to work." He's like, "Well, we just got to try." It's like, okay, Batman is never driven by his emotions this way. How the hell do you still not get his character?
It's like, if you think about it, Batman, like Bruce Wayne, this idea may pop into his head, but he's like, okay, well, what would be the ramifications? It's like, would he come back, would Superman come back the same?
Yeah.
Or would he be, like, would part of him be missing? Would he maybe even just be this mindless zombie, pretty much?
Yeah, like, if anybody would have come to, the conclusion we need to bring back Superman, it would have been Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Instead, they have the lines completely flopped or flipped. So because of that, you have both characters acting surprisingly out of character.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we're trying to play upon stereotypes or anything. It's like, no, you're fucking over both their characters because they don't act that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. And
yeah, I was actually going to say, as far as character development,
mm-hmm.
I think the most we have is, like, maybe this little, like, possible subplot of Alfred pretty much teasing Bruce, like, "Oh, you like Diana." It's like, you like her.
Yeah, which I always paired, Batman with Wonder Woman. Just because he's tough, he's a badass, he's not going to put up with people's shit in any kind of way.
Kind of same with Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm, same way.
It's like, Batman's the man who knows how to get things done.
Mm-hmm. And he probably knows how to make her very happy. But yeah, so just curious, what would you give this as a score?
I don't know. I was originally thinking maybe a 4, but I don't know. Now the more we're thinking about it, the more we're talking about it, it's like, that's a little too generous. Maybe a 3.
I was actually leaning towards a 3. But there's not enough goodness to give it a 3. It's a 2. It's not the worst thing that has come out. But it's so mediocre at its best moments. But when it's bad, it's unwatchably bad. That's the biggest problem, is just that it has some okay, but never any like, alright, that was really cool, or some okay, that's a good moment. Okay, well, there's a bunch of shit around all of it.
Yeah.
It is literally, it's not even finding a nugget of gold. It's like finding a nugget of maybe silver or some other semi-precious metal. It's not worth as much as gold. In a big pile of crap. There's nothing worth seeing this for. That's the biggest problem with this movie. Unlike Batman vs. Superman, like, there's very little, like, character, like, rapings. Like, there's that one bit we've talked about with Batman and Diana where they completely swap nonsense. But beyond that, there's nothing else. And I think that's a crime, really, against this movie. It's like, at least the other 3 DCEU movies that I hated them. I could vehemently describe it as a harsh hate because of what they've done and what they did. This one just feels so unworthy of hate, but it is that bad still. Because it's just terrible. It just didn't accomplish anything worth a shit. And honestly, by the end of it, you're going to walk out of it, and I wouldn't be surprised if by, the day after tomorrow, you forget the damn movie. I would be hard-pressed by Wednesday when I get back to work. People ask me, "Hey, did you go see Justice League?" "Yes, I did." How was it? Wasn't good, alright. So what was really bad about it? It's just boring.
So you got all night?
Yeah.
All day?
It's a boring movie. And that's its
Yeah.
big crime is it's insufferably dull.
Even during some of the fight scenes, like, how do you make a fight scene boring? You have to be trying.
Yeah, it's bad whenever I'm even like, yeah, this I could do without this fight scene. Can we go to something else, please?
Yeah.
There's a reason why this movie's only 2 hours long, because it doesn't need fucking anything else. In fact, it needs more cutting. Ugh. Yeah, that's Justice League for you. It's a justice poop. So next week, it's gonna be odd because I will not have my car back till Monday. If everything all works, I'll probably just go see this on Monday because nobody else wants to go see Coco with me. Which I learned is the movie that's supposed to come out this Thanksgiving weekend.
Well, it's either Coco or that new Winston Churchill movie with Gary Oldman.
It's going to have like a limited release and it's not going to have a wide release probably till December. Because just to be fair, they said the same thing with Colossal, which is the one with Anne Hathaway came out this year where she actually controls this like monster. And she didn't realize it. But I actually thought, oh, well, it's going to come out. And it wasn't even coming to our theaters at all. So yeah, it'll probably be the new Pixar movie. I'm not particularly looking forward to it. It looks cutesy, but it looks completely forgettable. Like, that's how I feel like. I'm going to walk out of the movie and go, that was a thing I saw. So.
There you have it.
Yeah, they can't all be Thor Ragnaroks.
But go see Thor.
Yeah, go see Thor. It's much better than this.
Great action scenes that you will not fall asleep through. Mm-hmm. And actual comedy.
Yeah, and also good character development.
Yes.
So yeah, go see Thor Ragnarok because Justice League sucks ass. So until next week, we'll see exactly how it is, and maybe I can put this video up. We'll see y'all next week, maybe with a Pixar movie. So bye bye, everybody.
Bye bye.